Hey, Scott Wilkinson here. I'm in the SRS suite at the Encore Hotel, and we're talking about the 3D Audio Alliance, or 3DAA, a new industry organization that has been established to create a new paradigm in audio rendering and encoding. And I'm here with Alan Kramer, the CTO of SRS, who's been instrumental in starting the 3DAA. Hey, Alan.
Hey, Scott. Good to see you.
So give us a quick overview of the 3DAA and what its purpose, its raison d'etre might be.
Well, the purpose is to basically pull the whole industry together in an alliance to advance the state-of-the-art of audio delivery to the whole entertainment ecosystem. We had a concept about a year and a half ago about using object-oriented audio, getting away from speaker feeds, getting away from the idea that you put 5.1 channels in, you get 5.1 channels out. You put 9.1, you put 33.3 in, you get 33.3 out. So when is it going to end? So the idea of object-oriented audio is to actually record the intent of the original content creator and not lose all that information. On a typical movie scene, you may have 200 to 300 elements that you have to mix down to 5.1 or 7.1 bins. There's a tremendous amount of information loss. So the idea is to, instead of saying just mix between this speaker configuration, these two speakers within this speaker configuration, the idea is to say, create your mix within a three-dimensional space. And don't consider what the speaker configuration is. Don't worry about that. But get metadata into the stream that defines where the audio objects are and how they're behaving within that three-dimensional space.
So in other words, how someone who's speaking, how they're moving in the space, or a helicopter flying over, or car driving by, or anything like that, you identify the object, its sound, and its motion, and encode that into what we call the transport stream, which then gets delivered to the end user.
Right. Rather than going speaker to speaker or channel to channel, create a new transport stream that abstracts it to a different level, doesn't worry about how many speakers there are or what the playback environment is. And then at the playback environment, that stream is interpreted by an intelligent renderer that says, this is how many speakers I have, or I might have some virtual resources or other resources that I can take into account to best represent what the original mix was intended to be.
So the mixer doesn't need to worry about whether the end user is going to have 5.1 or 7.1 or anything like that. They could have two channels. They could have SRS, virtual surround. Or
33.3 if they want, which I'm learning could sound pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Speakers overhead.
But the beauty of this is the studios like this concept, because right now, if somebody comes up with a new configuration, they have to remix the whole movie.
That, in fact, is a very important point that I want to reiterate and make sure that people understand that you only, in this paradigm, you only mix once, and then whatever the playback system is, it'll work.
Right, right. And we've even incorporated a concept after talking to some of the studios where for down mixes, say, to 5.1 or 7.1 or whatever they punch up on the renderer, the mixer can listen to that, and if he wants to make just little tweaks here and there, he can make adjustments, and we can put metadata into the stream that say, here are hints about folding down to these different formats without remixing the whole movie. They may not need to, but they may decide they need to. So anyway, we realized that in order to do something like this, to completely change the paradigm for surround sound transmission and reproduction, we probably can't do that by ourselves as SRS. So we formed another corporation, a nonprofit called 3DAA, to define a new standard based on input from the entire industry, from the studios to the distribution people, semiconductor people to the CE people. Get everybody involved and come up with a new universal standard for sound transmission and reproduction.
Now, is this going to be an open standard, or will you be licensing it?
This will be an open standard.
Hallelujah.
Rather than a royalty-bearing standard, the concept is to put this all together and then allow people to create rendering tools on the one side or creation tools on the other side, and that's where the business comes in. That's where people can compete. And the beauty is, since it doesn't tie you down to any particular rendering environment, people's imaginations can run wild. I mean, you you can take that information that you have now and create any kind of renderer you can imagine, which opens the door for all kinds of progress and for sound experiences for the consumer and home theater people or even in the cinema, far beyond what we have now with our traditional channel-based systems.
So we're looking at a timeline of a couple of years before we really see product.
Probably 2014, 2015, something like that. But I mean, I really can't imagine, I don't think anybody can, that by 2014, 2015, 2020, people are still saying 5.1, 7.1. I think we're going to go beyond that.
Yeah. Well, it's a really exciting development, and I'm looking forward to watching its progress. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Scott.